Welcome to System Dynamics Online Tutorials. In this session we're going to cover the manual job entry within the production control and manufacturing suite of Dynamic 3i. This particular application allows me to inject a manual work order into the manufacturing process within Dynamic 3i. It's important to note here that this particular application is not available to actually query any existing jobs in the system. It's only for entering new jobs within the system. It's considered as a manual or a rework order. This is information only, and the system is assuming that I'm going to actually input a new record into the system. By first setting the skip work order print, it allows me to automatically set the status of this particular work order that I'm going to enter at a work order printed status. So if I want to quickly inject a work order into the system, I can simply skip the work order print, and it will bypass the printing aspect of the process in order to get the system out there as a hard firmed order in the system. If I want to go the normal route and have the job go through a work order print, then I simply leave that blank, which is the system default. Primarily in any job being entered into the system for purposes of getting in there, you would most likely want a work order print of the job. So you would actually just skip the work order print here, and it will go into, that would have to be done as the next step. The system then asks for the warehouse that the actual job is going to be produced in. I can use a list of values to see all valid warehouses where I can inject jobs into, and I will pick a production warehouse here, and the system will then ask me for the product that I'm actually going to do. So in this warehouse, I can then use another list of values to see all the valid products that I can enter jobs against in the particular warehouse. And I can pick one, a job for this W0750. Upon entering that, the system actually displays to me what that product is and its unit of measure, and it's asking me for the quantity that I want the job to be created for in order to produce this product. The system also gives a miniature explosion or manufacturing resource planning (MRP) explosion to the product to find out the requirements and what's happening with this particular product. And what the system does is, in this particular instance here, it's showing me a source of a sales source, which is a forecast within the Dynamic 3i modules, covered in other tutorials and another module, and it's showing me that I have a required sales forecast of 1,000 of these units for the February 5th, etc., down the road into the future. And then there's totals here, and it also shows me the on order, any work orders that are already out there in the system for this particular job totaling in here. It shows me the current stock value on hand of this particular item, and any shortage that I am here as an extrapolation based on the requirements here. If this was a sales source of an actual order from order entry perspective, or a subassembly, any other work orders were out in the system, then the customer, order, or product would sit here. So if it was for a particular customer, the customer number would be here. If it was for a particular order, the order number would be here. If it was for a requirement for another an upper component, an upper job, then the product number would be here with the required quantity going into that. Sitting here on the quantity, I simply enter the quantity that I'm going to produce for this particular manual job that I'm entering. So let's do, we're going to do 18,000 cases. And we hit return, and it asks me a start date or a stop date. It's suggesting the earliest that I can do anything on this particular product, given the current availability of components, is February 5th, and the latest is of course way out into the future, as we can see here, to the 3rd, so I can move that anywhere that I want. That does not stop me from putting any start date that I want in here or any stop date that I want. The system, based on entry of a start date here, will extrapolate and figure out the stop date of this product going through the work centers and the routings. If I enter a stop date or a due date of the requirement here, the system will extrapolate backwards and give me the start date of this particular job. So really it becomes down to how you want to enter it. If you want the job to start on a certain day, enter it the start date. If you want it due, you can have it due, and the system will tell you when you should have started it. let's stick with starting it, and we will start it in the future here, and we'll just dump the job actually for the current date that I have right here. We'll start it on February 12th. The system then actually, as I said, extrapolates out and says, well, if you start on the 12th, it's going to finish on March 13th for 18,000 cases of these items. It also analyzes, based on those dates and based on the quantity here, that I have a material shortage, and the system will show me here a material shortage. If I had critical work centers for the capacity, if that amount for these dates here was overloading given capacity restraints on the work centers, then it would show critical work centers as well. It allows me now to actually view the critical material or the critical work centers if there was any, and I can display or print. So I simply select here the one or the two, and I can actually display, which will go out and display all the critical material for these dates, for this amount of quantity, for this product, or I could actually print a hard copy, etc. The system has also given me the job number that it's anticipating to create. It hasn't actually committed it yet or created it into the system, but this is my job number that I'm creating for this quantity of this product. So just to show you here on the display, I simply hit return. The system will load up our inquiry of critical materials and will display to me the critical materials, the current on hand of the given products, the required shortage, or the required amount and the shortage amount, and the suggested earliest that I'm actually going to be able to get that in. And I can analyze that and view that. Upon exiting, I come back to the actual job entry, and I can then, as the message states here, commit to confirm the work order and commit that to the database as job number 131 in a firm work order status, or clear the form to cancel all of the start dates, stop dates, and the scheduling, if you will, of that particular job. So if I actually clear this, it's as if nothing happened. If I commit it to the database, it will disappear, and I will not be able to query it on here, but I will be able to see the job injected into my system in other areas of the application, job inquiry, job material requirements, etc., for job 131. So let's commit that to the system, and we have created a manual job entry, job number 131. And that concludes manual job entry.